ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। So we are going to start the study of the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita today. And we have some new students joining us, because we had said that the 18th chapter, being a summary of the Bhagavad Gita, it is a good opportunity for new students also, students who may not have any background on the Bhagavad Gita or even any grantha, any scripture of our Sanatana Dharma, to get some insights. And so we do have some new students. I welcome all of them to the class here. So the majority of the folks here have been my students for a long time. And I'm going to assume that many new students, the new students may not have that much exposure to our granthas, to our shastram. And so periodically I may highlight some aspects, and there may be words that new students might hear which they may not know what it's about, which everybody else will know. If I say karma yoga, most of you know what karma yoga is. So don't be, new students need not be anxious or alarmed if you hear words that you don't follow. Okay? Because some new students already told me yesterday that this is too much, right? So too much will become too little after some time. Okay. I hope that's the prayer. That's why we start everything with the prayer, and it will. That's the tradition. That's the tradition. And so this is a study of the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the main texts of Sanatana Dharma. What I mean by that is there are many different texts, in the sense there is literature, there is the logic, literature, Kalidasa's literature, poetry, there's architecture, there's all these sciences, and all these sciences have many books. Like governance, jurisprudence, you have a famous book called Arthashastra by Chanakya, correct? Chanakya's Arthashastra. So anybody who wants to govern this country should have studied Arthashastra. These days it has become a little different, okay? But that's the kind of study one must have. And Chanakya, who lived 2000 plus years ago, and he wrote the book. And even today, many leaders say that we have to learn from Chanakya, like that they say. But here we are talking about Vedanta, and so Vedanta is it's a subject that's very different, because every other subject is a study of the world that we are confronting, world that we are confronting, and whereas the study of the confronter of the world, the self, is what you're going to find in the Bhagavad Gita and other texts like Upanishad. So it will be different. It has to be different. If you see the same thing being told other places, then either something is wrong with this course, or something wrong happened somewhere. Okay. And so it has to be different. It can't be the same material. And so that's what we will learn in this course, which comprises of the 18th chapter, which is the last chapter of the Bhagavad. And so those who are not even from that class, the fulfilling class, can life be more fulfilling? And some others, those of you who have joined, how many of you, are there anybody here that's absolutely new to this class? I don't see anybody. That's yeah. So Anand, I know Ananda. Yeah. Okay. There may be one or two. All right. So the plan for today is I will begin teaching like the way I normally have done. An hour of teaching will be there, but today maybe it won't last an hour, so that will give some time for other questions that new students may have about the nature of the classes and logistics and things like that. Maybe introduce a couple of you. Generally, we like to introduce each other so we know each other. So those are things we can do towards the end. All right, let's begin with chanting the first couple of shlokas. Yeah, Venkatramanji is there. अथ अष्टादशोऽध्यायः
अथ अष्टादशोऽध्यायः
अर्जुन उवाच
अर्जुन उवाच
सन्न्यासस्य महाबाहो
सन्न्यासस्य महाबाहो
तत्त्वमिच्छामि वेदितुम्
तत्त्वमिच्छामि वेदितुम्
त्यागस्य च हृषीकेश
त्यागस्य च हृषीकेश
पृथक् केशिनिषूदन
पृथक् केशिनिषूदन
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासम्
काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासम्
सन्न्यासं कवयो विदुः
सन्न्यासं कवयो विदुः
सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम्
सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम्
प्राहुस्त्यागं विचक्षणाः
प्राहुर्त्यागं विचक्षणाः
त्याज्यं दोषवदित्येके
त्याज्यं दोषवदित्येके
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म
न त्याज्यमिति चापरे
न त्याज्यमिति न चापरे.
Yeah. So some of you might have already noticed that the 18th chapter is not just one of the longest chapters, but the longest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. Longest means what? Number of shlokas. Count wise, it's 78 shlokas, I think. And so it's that way longest. And it's the last chapter, which represents a summary of the teachings of Krishna that happened in the last 17 chapters. So just like a research paper or a newspaper article or a good article, a review article begins with an abstract and then goes through a detail and then comes to a summary conclusion. Exactly like that, Sri Krishna also does it. And he gave an abstract in the second chapter. First chapter was the context, the setting. This war setting was there in the first chapter, and which precipitated Arjuna's, anxiety, despondency, vulnerability, etc. And he didn't ask the question. He didn't ask any question also. And he was just confused, but said, "You have to teach me," like that. He said. And then second chapter onwards, he started, he gave an abstract, so to speak, and then elaborated all through the Gita till the 17th chapter, now culminating with the 18th chapter. That second chapter is called Upakramaha, Upakramodhyaya. So a chapter which gives the opening statement, the opening thesis. What is it that I'm going to talk about? That's the abstract. If you read research papers, those of you who have done masters by research or PhD, you know that we spend a lot of time. We means what? I'm a PhD, I've done a master's, so I know this. We spend a lot of time writing papers. And our professors used to say, now it's time for you to write a paper. And then, so because you've done some research and all, you have some new findings, and you have spoken at conferences, so it's now time to write a paper. Either it's a conference paper or it's a peer-reviewed publication paper. Okay, publication. So all that some of you are familiar. So, Upakramaha is summary or rather abstract, then details, and then Upasamhara. Upasamhara means summary, conclusion. And so, good presenters will follow this technique. Good presenters. In the sense, every presentation may not be amenable to that, may not be needed. But sometimes, even in YouTube channels, some of the good channels that are there, you will see that they will tell you, this is what we're going to talk about. Then there is an interview or analysis, and then they should spend at least half a minute, 1 minute summarizing the key findings. Key findings must be summarized. And some people don't do that. Good shows, they will say thank you, and they will say thank you, and then they will say, what do you call that? Click that, some icon, some bell button and all. They keep on saying this. And you click the bell button for notifications, and then this, that they say. But they have to spend 30 seconds summarizing. That makes the show worthwhile. So here, that's what Krishna is going to do. And in fact, he says, see, he says, Sarvasya eva Gita Shastrasya Arthaha. And some of you are wondering, what is all this? Too much Sanskrit going on. So, new students don't have to worry, because Sanskrit knowledge is not a requirement for this class, this course. And because I'll explain every word of it. And also, we rely on Shankara's commentary of the Bhagavad Gita. Ideally, that's how the Bhagavad Gita should be taught. Should be taught. So, see, suppose somebody teaches Bhagavad Gita without even having studied Shankara's Bhashyam in the case of Advaita Vedanta, or Ramanuja's Bhashyam in the case of Vishishtadvaita. He is not studied, teacher has not studied, and then coming up, then what happens? Suppose the word yoga comes. Yoga. Okay. The word yoga has many meanings within the Bhagavad Gita in many contexts. How will the person know what is the meaning of that word yoga in that Bhagavad Gita shloka? Okay. Too many meanings are there. Yoga can mean Hatha Yoga. This popular meaning of yoga is Hatha Yoga. Then any discipline is also called yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is called yoga in some contexts. And basic marriage and family life also is called yoga because it's a discipline. Then there is a word called Yoga Kshema. Yoga Kshema, what is Yoga Kshema? What is the meaning of yoga in that Yoga Kshema? Different meaning will come. Hey, your life, whatever you want to achieve in life, are you achieving? Are you happy? Are you getting what you want out of life? That is called yoga. Kshema means after getting the things you want, are the things there with you? We buy things and then we want to protect those things. The house is there, family is there. A child is born, but the child has to be taken care of. That's called kshema. So yoga is acquisition, kshema is protecting what we acquire. So that's an entirely different meaning of yoga. There is no pranayama, nothing in that meaning of it. So how are you going to figure this out? The guy says, no, I can figure it out. Then he's starting a new tradition. And he should advertise that as New Age Bhagavad Gita. I don't have a problem with that. New Age Bhagavad, call it New Age Bhagavad Gita. Like they have New Age music and all. New Age music. So it becomes New Age Bhagavad Gita. So we don't sampradaya. This with so much going on. And it's language, and then on top of that, he says you don't have to study Sanskrit also. Okay, students don't have to study Sanskrit is all right, but the teacher has to have studied Sanskrit. Okay, so there's a lot going on. That is what we call a sampradaya, tradition. That's when the tradition comes from Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. We just chanted the shloka. So, because the subject matter is subtle, the subtler and subtler a subject matter gets, the more weight it needs behind that subject. Correct? The more weight. If I show this object to people and ask what it is, even a child will say it's a pen. It's a pen. Everybody knows it. Over. Game is over. And it's used to write. Okay, some children are learning to write with the pen, but others know it. So all these discrete objects, much easier to communicate, much easier to talk about. But when you talk about Atma, the self, then it becomes subtle. It's a sukshma vishaya. Therefore, we need the help of tradition. So we invoke Sadashiva Samarambham. Shankaracharya, may you bless us. Our own acharyas, Swami Dayananda ji, may you bless us. Sadatmananda ji, may you bless us. And all our acharyas, your acharyas, they all are blessing us right now. And so the way Shankaracharya introduces this chapter, he says, Sarvasya eva Gita Shastrasya Arthaha Asmin Adhyaye Upasamkritya. Okay, he says, Upasamhara use the word. He uses that word here. Shankaracharya, Upasamkritya. Having summarized what? Sarvasya Gita Shastrasya Arthaha. The entire Gita Shastra's meaning, having summarized Asmin Adhyaye in this chapter, having summarized the entire Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, then he has something more to say. Sarvaha cha vedarthaha vaktavyaha. We must also tell the meaning of the Vedas. Okay, Bhagavad Gita is a different text. It is outside the Veda. It is not part of the Veda, the original main scripture, Shastram of Sanatana Dharma is the Veda, So he's saying, Sarvasya Vedarthaha Vaktavyaha must be told. Veda, meaning of the Veda must be told. Iti evamarthaha ayam adhyayaha arabhyate. For the purpose of that alone, this chapter is begun. Shankaracharya is saying this. So we don't need to have any doubt that that's what is going to happen in this chapter. Okay? And then sarveshu hi atiteshu adhyayeshu uktaha arthaha asmin adhyaye avagamyate. So he says, therefore, he says, everything that was said in the previous chapter, you will get an opportunity to listen to that once again. In case I missed something, or in case I never studied it, you'll get an opportunity. Shankaracharya is saying, okay. Arjuna tu sannyasa tyaga shabdartayoho eva vishesha bubutsuhu uvacha. He's saying it is triggered by a question by Arjuna. Arjuna is asking a question to Sri Krishna. He's asking a question. Tyagasya cha rishikesha sannyasasya. He's asking Krishna. There are two words I heard you using throughout the Bhagavad Gita. One is called sannyasa, the other is called tyaga. Tyaga. Tyaga, many of us understand very easily. Tyaga means some kind of sacrifice. Some kind of sannyasa also is sacrifice. Often we translate that as renunciation. Renunciation. And so what is the difference between, is there a difference between these two? Like that he's asking. So Shankara is saying that this chapter is triggered by Arjuna's question of that nature. So we'll see that. And so the context was this war. War is about to start, and all these drum beats are happening. And the cacophony, we saw that in the first chapter. People are beating the drums and then they are firing themselves up because it's going to be life or death right now. Okay. But everybody is excited about the war because they're all soldiers. That's what they're meant to do. And so, and they may not think of life the way you and I might think. And they also want to live, but they live for the sake of protecting the dharma. And so they say, I'm ready to die for my dharma. Dharma is important. That's what they say. And so now this charioteer Krishna has become a teacher Krishna, Acharya Guru. And this soldier Arjuna has become a Shishya Arjuna. Okay, that's the transformation that has happened right in the beginning, the second chapter itself. Tishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. That's the first situation, context there. And so there are several topics that are covered in the Bhagavad Gita. Two main topics that Krishna introduced in the third chapter. Lokesmin Dvividha Nishta Pura Prokta Mayana. So that's the clue for us. Okay, what are the topics that the Gita talks about, Krishna talks about, if you say, two main topics. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Okay, that is the main topic he talks. But every chapter has a name also. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Like this, it goes on and on. Then in between, Bhakti Yoga also comes. Bhakti Yoga. So that's all fine. They're all topics. Bhakti is also a topic. But Bhakti Yoga comes under the heading of Karma Yoga. Or you can say Bhakti Yoga includes all these things also. You get it's not wrong. We saw that when we studied the Bhakti Yoga. Anyway, so Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Let's talk about Jnana Yoga. What is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is that pursuit. We said that this whole this samsara, this life of becoming, so-called bondage, was caused due to avidya. Avidya. So ignorance of my own self is the cause of this life of up and down, life of anxiety. And whatever anxiety I have, whatever insecurity I have, is all caused due to a mistaken self-identity. This much we have studied. And so, how do I then remove that anxiety that I have? That is done by removing that mistaken self-identity. And how do I remove that mistaken self-identity? Hey, any mistake has to be corrected only by knowledge. Only by knowledge. If you mistake somebody to be somebody else, then you have to be told, Oh, I'm sorry. What about that? Oh, you are that person, not this person. That's a way to correct mistakes. But this mistake is also a mistake, but a very different kind of mistake. It is a universal mistake, and it causes problems like nothing else causes problems. Correct? It causes what we call samsara. This life. Life is tough, they say. Life is whatever life is, fill up the blanks. And then the blanks is caused by this ajnanam or ignorance. Therefore, in order to remove that ignorance, I have to know a fact. And in order to know that fact, I have to study. And in order to study, I have to find a guru. And then after the guru is found, the guru uses the Shastra, the same text, Bhagavad Gita, to unfold this truth. That is Jnana Yoga, the study of Atma, which reveals my true identity, okay, which is different from what I have previously thought about myself, is Jnana Yoga. All the new students, although our past students know all these things, but for the benefit of the new students, Jnana Yoga, pursuit of knowledge of the self, different ways of saying the same. Now, then what is Karma Yoga? Well, it turns out that this pursuit of knowledge, if I go out there and talk about it, most people won't be interested. You know why? You know why most people won't be interested? Because what is this self knowledge you're talking about? Self knowledge is not a popular topic. If you tell me, how can I make money in this post COVID era, if I say I will get some people and I'll say it's an online course, only 150 rupees. If I say people may actually pay money also, they may actually sign up paying, wasting 150 rupees, they may actually come. And then especially these guys from IIT and all, you put some respect is there for some of these things, and they may actually show up. May actually show up. Possible. They may sign up and they may not show up also because after all, it's only 150 rupees. Okay, chalega, this time I'm busy. I will do something. I look up the videos and they may send messages. Sir, can you put the videos on YouTube? You know, suddenly expectations are very high from the students. Teacher also has some expectations. Nobody bothers about teacher's expectation, but students' expectations. Aha. So we have to be ready with all these WhatsApp groups and this, that, and then yeah, YouTube, this, that, everything we have to do. So for those kinds of subjects, you have a big audience. Or if I say yoga for health and then bring up with some catchy, and then I'll introduce Meera and Narayan and say they're all students of Yasvyasa, and then I put their pictures and all, some people will sign. Because yoga has been understood as very important. Sooner than later. The guys have been postponing 40 years, 50 years, 55. Now arthritis has come. That's it. Now I have to join the yoga class. Correct? That's very easy to follow. So we can do it. But then this Atma Vidya is a very crazy thing. Nowhere in no book I've read about Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya. This Brahma, that too, they have said, in our popular language, when the guy is simply staring at something and like this, you know what they will say? And then if Brahma Pudichundu irukka அப்படின்னு in Tamil language, they will say, means they use this language. It's very odd. They say Brahma Pudichirga means as though Brahma has got you. Brahma has got you means what? Means that whatever it means, you can interpret any number of ways. But the word Brahma comes. And now I introduce a course called Brahma Vidya. Will you attend that course, Brahma Vidya? No, you won't attend the course Brahma Vidya because the word Brahma is an allergic thing. You are supposed to stay away from Brahma. That is what they have told us. And so I don't need Brahma Vidya. And so two topics. Back to two topics. Why I said all this? Two topics. This Jnana Yoga, and because of this mindset that we have, that allergy to Brahma, I need another yoga called Karma Yoga. Correct? That's why I said all these things. Karma Yoga is what? A preparation, a change of mindset because it's talking about the self. Everything I've been worried about throughout my life is about the non-self. I don't say nonsense, non-self. Okay, make sure I'm very clear here. Not nonsense. Some people say it is nonsense, but that's different. But non-self. All along, all the sciences, non-self. Food, non-self. Children, children also non-self. Non-self only it is. Even though it is for myself, it is still non-self. Okay. Marriage is for the self, I think, right? Yeah, it is for the self, all right, but it's all non-self. It's all non-self. What about study of psychology? Psychologists are very important in our lives. Psychology also is the study of the mind, which is non-self. So anyway, we'll study all these things if you have not already been exposed to this. And so, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga is a preparatory, whatever it takes. Our entire life is meant to prepare us for it. Our married life is supposed to prepare us. Supposed to prepare us. That's why after some time we do say, I want to study Bhagavad Gita. I'm 60 years old and I'm retired. What do I do? Nobody will say, in Indians won't say, what do I do? They will automatically come to study of scriptures. They will study Itihasa, Ramayana, Mahabharatam. They'll pick up books. They'll start attending classes. So for us, there is no problem. For us means for Indians who have so many texts are there. There are chanting. There are many people here surrounding. They'll chant from 4 o'clock in the morning. It goes on till 6 in the morning. Lalita Sahasranamam, Saundara Lahari. It goes on and on and on. Unending it is. And you wonder, how can a person sit for 2.5 hours? My aunt, she's 95 years old. She sits for 3 hours in the morning every day. She doesn't say I'm bored. Retired life is boring. No, no Indian will make that kind of a statement. Not possible because we have so much. Anyway, Karma Yoga is preparatory. Jnana Yoga is the pursuit of the knowledge. And because this knowledge is not that straightforward, and it's not straightforward means what? The purpose of why I must study is not straightforward, even though the knowledge is straightforward. Knowledge is straightforward. And so, uh, we have what's called Karma Yoga, all preparatory disciplines that can include pranayama, that can include your own pursuit of giving up your own likes and dislikes. Food wise, likes and dislikes are there, and you consciously give up certain things. Very tasty, but then not advisable. So you rein in and you say, no, I'm going to be more disciplined. Any type of discipline, tapas, dhanam. We studied dhanam recently. Krishna talked about it in the 17th chapter. Charity. So giving. I'm ready to give. That giving is a discipline. It's part of the karma yoga. Like this, it's a big list. You can add anything to this. Karma yoga, jnana yoga. That's the main division of this Bhagavad Gita. All right. And then there's another way to divide the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. You are that. Tat Tvam Asi. There's a famous Mahavakyam. It's called a Mahavakyam. It says, you are that. That's it. That is a sentence itself. That's a complete sentence. You are that. Okay. In English, they say that thou art. These kinds of sentences you may have seen. And so, you are that. It is that equation that we are after. In Jnana Yoga, that is the thing that we are planning to understand. You are that. You are that means what? You are God. That's our statement. That is what we are studying. Hinduism is the only tradition which doesn't simply believe in God, but also understands God. I want to underline this statement. This understanding of God will be labeled as potentially as heresy, heretical in other religions. Who are you to question God? Well, we are Hindus to question God. We will question God also. The nature of God. This statement says, Tattvatvam your essential nature is no different from the nature of God. That's the meaning. That means the you that you're talking about, that statement says, you are that you cannot mean my body. Because my body, Ishvara is Jagat Karta, is the creator of the world, sustainer of the world, resolver of the world, and pervades the world. That God cannot be this body. So I have to give up this idea that I am the body, I am the mind. All these finite ideas have to be given up. And there is a methodology to unfold that teaching. That methodology is this Bhagavad Gita. And so, the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita refers to Tvam. Tvam means you. In that statement, you are that. Tvam, that you. Our Acharya say that this first 6 chapters predominantly talks about you. That aspect, who? You, who are you? Means, who am I? That is the first 6 chapters. Then the next 6 chapters of the 18 chapters, okay, chapters 7 to 12, okay, predominantly talks about Tat. Tat means Ishvaraha. In our language, Ishvaraha. And then the last 6 chapters talks about are. You that are. Tvam Tat Asi. Asi. Asipada Vicharaha. Inquiry of the identity between the self and Ishvara, or Jiva and Ishvara. Jiveshvara Aikyam. These are all technical words we use. And so what is the first 6 chapters? Tvam-pada vichara. Inquiry into the word you. When I say I, what does the I really mean? Does it mean the body? Does it mean the sense organs? Does it mean the mind? Does it mean the intellect? Or is there something else beyond the intellect also? That is the Tvam-pada vichara. The next 6 chapters is what? Tat-pada vichara. Inquiry of the nature of God. Ishvara. Ishvara vichara. Tat-pada vichara is what? Inquiry into the word Tat. This is a grand statement. Grand statement. Where do you think the word you are that thou art comes from? It has to come from this Dharma Kshetre. Dharma Kshetra it is. This word, this piece of geography in this entire earth is called Dharma Kshetra. I didn't say it. Krishna says it. Okay, Vyasa says it. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveda Yuyutsavaha. That is one of the first. What one of the first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So anyway, that's the introduction, right? And Swami Paramarthananda ji says one more thing. He says this 6 chapter, the way we have divided it, first 6, second 6, and the third 6, can also be said this way. The first 6 chapters refers to Purusha Prayatna, effort. 3 factors are needed for success of any pursuit. And definitely for the success of this pursuit, we need 3 factors. What are the 3 factors? Prayatnaha, effort. We have to put an effort. Whatever we want to do, we have to put an effort. That's very obvious. So, swaprayatnaha, right? Effort is there. Then, prasadaha or Ishvara anugraha is what? Grace of God, often commonly talked about as grace of God. Prasadaha, we have words for it. Prasadaha or Ishvara anugraha. Anugraha means again kataksham. Kataksham means grace in English. Why? Because this is unknown territory. Knowledge is unknown territory. A child going to school learning ABCD is also unknown territory for the child. And therefore, the child also must be taught to chant some mantras before entering the classroom. And the teacher should start the class. Because teacher also no guarantee that she or he is going to teach this properly. And she may be an angry person. An angry person is not a good teacher, especially these children. Correct? Okay, children, who are coming there to enjoy and who are coming there to learn. In fact, for them, enjoyment is more important than learning, correct? The teacher must convert the enjoyment period into quietly teaching things without telling the student that you have to learn all these things. Shut up. No, no, no. That's not the way that teaching has to be done. Just tell some stories and then mesmerize the children. And in the process, they don't realize. And after 4 hours, they've learned ABCs, one, two, three, everything. Come on, what Vikram? Morning I taught you one, two, three. Do you remember that? Yes, I remember. Tell me. One, two, three. Like that, you've got to do that. So the teacher also needs a lot of skill. I don't know what you call it, skill, but the grace of God has to be there. Skill is prayatna. It comes in the first category. Then grace of God. Ishvara anugraha fasadaha. Second 6 chapters. Second set of 6 chapters. Okay. And the last set is character. Our own character must be in keeping with what we are studying and all the things that we value in life. Honesty on words, compassion, generosity, and absence of pretension, absence of self-glorification. I'm somebody, this I'm somebody idea has to be let go. All of us, they say, I remember I read this, even the king and the queen go into the same box along with the pawn. When the chess game is over, when the chess game is over, the king and the queen go into the same box as the pawns, it seems. The statement is a little different. I don't remember the exact statement, but that's what it is. That's the subject we're talking here. Tattvamasi applies to everybody. And so I have to let go of all these notions I have about myself. Grandiose ideas or ideas that say that I'm nobody, I'm no good, I'm a victim, I'm suffering, I'm full of sorrow. All these ideas also slowly let go, let go. So character is the third, the last 6 chapter. Recently, those of you who've been attending, we've seen 17th chapter was Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. 16th was Devasura Sampat Yoga, uh, values, qualities, good qualities and the not so good qualities. We talked about that. And so those are, those Krishna talks about. Even though this is a Atma Vidya, it talks about values. Values are Atma or Anatma?
Atma. Anatma.
Anatma. So we have to go to Anatma through Atma, it looks like. The road to Anatma leads through Atma. So first I have to say it is Atma. Then he said, no, 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 it's not Atma, it's Anatma. Yeah, everything is Anatma. Everything, values also is Anatma. It's non-self. Non-self. It's meant for the self, very important, very intricate part of the self, no doubt, but it's still not the self. So values are required for developing the right mindset, framework of mind, because the final teaching is over. You are the whole. If you understood it, you can get up right now and walk away. That's it. The teaching is not going to be any different than this. You can walk away. Even the guru can't stop you. You know what happened, right? Vyasa's son is Shuka. And Vyasa said Shuka is there, and then finally the time for marriage has come. Go get married and produce children. And Shuka said goodbye. He said, I'm not interested in marriage. And he walks away. He walks away. That's it. That much he knows. Shuka knows. I know the purpose of life, and so now I will be by myself. So that's how it is. If you understand this statement, then nobody can stop you. Even God cannot stop you. Suppose you ask, can God stop you? In our culture, we will say, God also cannot stop you. That's it. That's the power of this. That's the power and magnificence of this statement. You are that. And this pursuit also is that. That is why we have sannyasis. Sannyasis means what? People in that occur. That whole tradition is there. That particular lifestyle is there. They are people who have understood this. And so they are treated equal to God for us. For us, God is not sitting somewhere out there. No. For Hindus, God is right there in front of us. In our puja room, of course, God is there. But outside the puja room also, sannyasis are there. They are the living gods for us. That's the tradition. All right. So, what we'll do is we'll pause now. This is just an introduction. And I want to open it up for some questions from some of the new students here. And then ask me some questions that are related to the topic, etc. And then what I'll do is after 5-10 minutes after your question, I'll walk away and then you can chat with Meera and others who coordinate the practice sessions. They do review the lessons. If those who are interested, they can attend once a week. There is a practice session to to elaborate on what was talked about, to review what was talked about. And you can get a student's perspective of this course. Okay. Teacher's perspective of the course, I don't know if you got it now or not. It will take some time perhaps, because some of you don't know what kind of person he is, she is, you don't know all that. This online thing is a bit strange, You suddenly sign up because you have a love for the subject, but then you don't know. You don't know. You really don't know. Is he going to pick on students? Is he going to shout at students? All that you can ask Meera and others. You can ask them. You can ask any question you want. Okay, so I'll leave so that you can talk freely also. So go ahead. What you can do is just for me to see. I see only 3 or 4 people. If those of you who are new to this course, if you can turn on your video and raise your hand. On Zoom there is a way to raise the hand. If you can raise your hand, at least I can see who you are. I can see Anand Sood is there, and who else is there? Yeah, Malati ji is there. There you are. Rashtar is there. Okay, got it. And who else? Divya. Okay. Okay, there somebody is raising their hand. Divya. All right. Okay.
Rekha's here.
Rekha. That's right. Okay, there you go, Rekha. And please keep your video feeds on so I can see you. And continue to keep that hand on, because what Zoom does is Zoom will put all the raised hands on top in one group. And so it's easy for me to see you as opposed to having to spot you, because now there are about 40 people here. And I like to teach. I like to see each of you, right? I mean, when I'm teaching, I'm not blindly uttering a few words. Don't think I have Chat GPT here and then, Chat GPT. Today I'm starting its 18th chapter. They've been attending my classes for the past 4 years. And please tell me how to introduce this chapter. And guess what? Chat GPT will do that also. Don't think I'm just reading like this. No, 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 no. I'm not reading. I have some notes here. I have made some notes, no doubt. I have some bullet points here. But no, I'm not reading Chat GPT, okay? I'm looking at you. Because if those of you who are teachers know this very well, without looking at the students, teachers will not be happy. Teachers need to see. Sukanya is a teacher. She's teaching young children in Bangalore. She knows it. I suppose I asked Sukanya, Sukanya ji, today the students will come on Zoom and everybody's video will be off for safety reasons. It all be off because safety is important, And so Sukanya, please teach. She will say namaskar and she will say thank you, no thank you, and she will walk away. You know why? Because she doesn't know how to teach children black boxes. She doesn't know. Any teacher, Kalpana is there. She's a teacher. Ask them. They can't. I am also like that. Even though my training is not in the teaching profession, I love to teach somehow or the other. And I watch people. When you shake your head like this, that makes a big difference for me. When you look like this, that also makes a very big difference for me. What? Oh, she didn't understand. That means I have to clarify. I'm getting feedback, visual feedback I'm getting. That's why I ask people to keep their video feeds on. And some of you have some excuse, and so that's fine. Valid excuses are fine. And so understand this process. I mean, I want you to understand this process. This is not some kind of a, the Zoom thing is a bit odd. My Acharya, Saratmananda used to joke. He asked me to start teaching, all right, about, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And then he said, once he joked, oh, Zoom classes you're conducting? Is that right? Oh, online moksha? You're giving online moksha to people? Like that, he was joking because unheard of. Unheard of. Our acharyas didn't know this kind of age is coming. They didn't know. Now they're also getting onto Zoom. I can go back to Swamiji. Swamiji, how many people did you give moksha to online? Like that, I can also ask Swamiji. So anyway, thanks Rashtar, Malati, and Rekha. They've been attending my classes for some time. And so Divya is there also here. There she is. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you please ask now about the course, about the way this happens, etc. Or you can introduce yourself. Rashtar, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Namaskar. I'm a novice to this one. It triggered my curiosity yesterday when I heard about that today will be the opening for the 18th chapter. And knowing from my childhood that 18th chapter is like the essence of Bhagavad Gita, especially when somebody is dying, they say, recite the 18th chapter, what they will hear about as the final words of renunciation, as I was told at that time, that it is important. So it created and arose my curiosity, and I wanted to join it, and I thank the organizers for allowing me to attend. But of course, this is just an appetizer, as we call it. So the main meal will come later. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashtar. Where do you live, Rashtar? If you can tell people.
Yes, in the neighborhood of Prema in Montreal.
Okay. Okay. Malati ji, go ahead.
Namaskaram, Guruji. I am Malati Vishwanathan. I live in Montreal also. I have been attending Guruji's Can Life Be Fulfilling class. And from yesterday, he was mentioning that there was a mention that there will be a Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 summary class. I did attend a session of Bhagavad Gita before in another class, but this is something that attending it once is not going to do anything. Maybe it is just we pick up a few buzzwords here, there to maybe if we want to name drop to do it. But that's not my intention. I would like to keep listening to it and with the hope that one day something will register in my head also, and I will be able to follow it or at least enjoy it with the understanding. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to attend this summary class, and I hope I can continue in this session. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Malati. Rekha ji. If you can unmute yourself.
I am Rekha Iyer. I'm also from Montreal. Yeah, I totally echo what Malti just said, because half knowledge is dangerous. So I won't say I know anything about Bhagavad Gita. It's always like I'm listening to something new. So it's a privilege to listen to the 18th chapter. I haven't actually read the 18th chapter because I'm still struggling with the first and the second. I have the Swami Dayananda's home study course, so it's a difficult read, but because it's not enough to read, it's also important to reflect. So this is great that you're talking to us about the Bhagavad Gita. Hope to listen to more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your San Francisco Bridge background has become familiar to me now. I mean, I've been seeing it.
Thank you.
Divyaji.
Namaste, Guruji. I stay in Bombay, and
We're not able to hear you properly. Can you speak louder?
Namaste, Guruji. I stay in Bombay, and I am interested into understanding Gita. So that is the reason I wanted to join this course. Though it is the last chapter, as it was mentioned in the introduction, that it will cover almost the entire concept of the Gita, even if someone had missed it earlier. So that prompted my curiosity to join the course, to be able to start with the 18th chapter, and probably the cycle once again might continue, with the hope that it will start from 1 to 17 as well with the next session. So to just make a beginning into this study of the Gita.
Very good, very good. And where are you from, ma'am?
From Bombay. From Bombay.
Bombay. Very good, very good. Mumbai. So you're a Mumbaiker.
Yes.
Mumbai,
But I
city.
can I stay in Mumbai, but primarily I am South Indian, so I can understand Telugu, Tamil, both the languages.
Very good, very good.
I think Divyaji is having an issue with her mic, but we can't hear her. She was there in yesterday's Sambhashanam. We had the same problem. We can't hear you at all.
Oh, is it? I do not know what the problem is, because my mic is full. It's completely on the top of the audio level. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Good. So are there any other?
Maybe you can log in from your laptop or something. That will be better, Divyaji.
Right.
Just because I'm using mobile, because
And so if there's anybody else, if there's nobody else, we can conclude the class. And generally, we'll conclude all the new ones. We conclude in about an hour, right on the hour. And then after that, there is a Q&A session that goes on for either 10 minutes or even 1 hour sometimes. And so Q&A sessions are quite beneficial, and because our students have been attending for a while, sometimes it's quite deep also we do get. And so, but it'll be very revealing. So the beauty about studying, or somebody says, oh, you're starting the study of Bhagavad Gita from the 18th chapter. It looks like ulta, you know. In Hindi, we call it ulta. Ulta means what? You start from the end. It's called ulta. And so somebody says ulta, then you can tell them, no, it appears like ulta, but it's like studying the second chapter. Abstract, Bhagavan Sri Krishna had given, and then conclusion is given in the 18th chapter. So we will get to know, even before you come to the 18th chapter, I will know exactly what Sri Krishna has talked about. Like that, you can say. And so there is always some time that you have to start. And so sometime it's going to be new. So there's no rule. When I first started studying this, I attended a camp in Pennsylvania, in the ashram. And the topic was Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And generally they say Upanishads are to be studied after the Bhagavad Gita, and other Prakarana Granthas, allied texts, are to be studied. So my introduction was through Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So the topic is still the same. And so we want to grasp the topic. So then it doesn't matter which text you really study initially, etc. So with that, I'll conclude, and then if there are any other questions you have, you're welcome to ask any logistics questions and all that. But I'll conclude right now. Om Apadamapahataram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Sriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Om Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasyashalini Desho Yam Kshobharahitah Brahmanas Santu Nirbhayaha Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.